Welcome to another crazy car project. Back to trying to make a master cylinder that has 4 ports work with a vehicle uses 2. Finally found some bolts that'll fit these ports so I can make plugs. They ended up being 16 millimeter, 1.5 by 30 millimeter. So I had a 1.5 thread, and of course I picked the bag. It's not open. But they'll fit in there. I never found any fittings that fit perfectly in the store around here, so. But that'll do it. And to make a good seal, I am going to build a rubber seal on the end of these bolts so they have a plug. Although I don't think I'm using this one.
Although you can make handy dandy.
It'll be a plug for something, probably.
I guess.
So, just going to use some Insta gasket. All I have is high temp. So it's going to be a high temp something, but just to make a plug on the end so it has the pressure against it will be something rubbery.
Now, are you going to put it on there, wait for it to dry, and then stick it in there? Is that what you're doing? Okay.
Yep, I'm going to form it up and make an end on it because I am going to, I don't know if I can bleed this properly without these ports open, so I'm going to bench bleed it and then cap these with the gasket plug on there and then some Teflon tape back here. Being careful that there's no Teflon tape that can get sucked into the system.
Okay. Makes sense.
Now just to get that set.
Yes. Either this is going to work or it's going to send crap through your brake system and then permanently disable the brakes in your car. One or the other.
That thing's brakes barely work at any given time, so not going to change much.
Point taken. So which one of these did you use?
I used the red high tip because the one didn't give a solvent warning on. So I poked a hole in the side. Now I'm going to seal it again. I keep doing this with this tube.
Is that how it got split down the bottom?
Actually, it split itself on the bottom when I was trying to. I don't remember. It just split itself on the bottom. And I sealed that. And this tube, I'll have to give it credit. I have a new tube. I bought it a long time ago. But this particular tube is the second time I've taped it up. And before I was able to clear this time I wasn't able to clear this out. So it's like, okay, poke a hole inside, tape it up. I'll use it again. But you see what I did. Just made kind of rubber plugs on them. They'll cure, let them cure 24 hours. And that should crush and make a seal on the ports.
And yeah, and it's not, and it label didn't say anything about it being soluble in gasoline.
This is the only one that didn't warn against using with gasoline, so it's like, okay, we'll go with this one.
Yep.
I think that's why I always end up using this stuff when I'm not doing an oil pan. Oil pan, you can see what else I use. This is oil pan. Always oil pan. This stuff needs to be anything else. Oil pan and water pumps.
Yep. So letting this thing cure for 24 hours, and then they're going in there.
Okay. Here we go on this. And just doing. Got these fixed. They've cured 48 hours. Hopefully that'll make a good seal. Teflon tape to help make a seal. Once again, brake fluid. You want to make sure you don't have the Teflon tape where it gets in the system, because it can get broke down and sucked into it and clog stuff up. So it should be well clear of that. And as always, try to remember which way it threads, so you thread it on the right way so it doesn't unthread while you're tightening. But I'm still debating on how I'm going to go about doing the initial bleed so there's not air trapped on these ports. So do probably a bench bleed. I'm debating whether or not to try doing the evacuate where you submerge this in brake fluid, lid off, and try to let the air come back into it, as well as having this fluid. play with that for a bit. Completely different. I want to put fluid in this reservoir. Start dripping out there. Put that in. Okay. Now I'm going to put fluid in there. Get some air bubbles out. Barely moving it. Getting some movement in that one. It does seem to be a direct pass through, which is interesting. Okay, now I gotta get a wrench, tighten that up a little bit. But the good news is that does seem to get a lot of the air out without having to horribly press bench bleed it and stuff. Because I got a lot of air bubbles out of that, and that gives it so I can seal that with that being bled already. So maybe this will work better. I'm already positive on the fact the master cylinder is already doing a lot more than the last two I played with that were different kinds. And here I am tightening the 24 millimeter. So they end up being 16 millimeter threads, 24 millimeter head. Thank goodness it's 24, not 23, because 23 is still a missing wrench. There we go. That should make for that. Now I'm going to try to bleed this side the same way I was bleeding that side. Get some more of the air out of it. Maybe, possibly, hopefully. And talk about unconventional ways to bleed a system. And I like the fact that this side came with little rubber plugs. I wish the other side came with rubber plugs. I could have just cut the ends of them out and use them instead of having to make a gasket. The advantage to it, I'm pulling these out and it's pulling fluid out with it, which is good. It's a good sign. Oh, it works better with the cap off. Let's fill these up. And fiddle with it a little bit and see if I get any air out. Unconventional way to bench bleed, but considering how much trouble I've had with these, I really don't want to work these gaskets anymore, and I absolutely have to, because I know how fragile the ones before have been. This is a different type, so hopefully it's not as bad, but yeah. Alright. That's good enough for here. And now we'll see if I can't get it to, and hopefully. Now, a trick I do on these, because you got to be careful not to let it soak too much moisture in. And something I always do on my brake fluid bottle is I take a piece of plastic bag and put it over there and help seal it up. And it normally does a pretty good job. Do that and tip it up and squeeze it a little bit. If no fluid comes out, you've probably made a good seal. If fluid comes out, then you didn't make a good seal. I've only made a moderate mess. But there we go. It's bench bled. At least bench bled as far as I'm going to get it in here. And now I'll try to get it in the KIA. And on and bled there even more. Okay, well, once again, remove the master cylinder. I already unbolted it, did a rough look. The hardest part's going to be adapting the switches, because they don't match up for the fluid level, so I'll have to make an adapter. Probably. First I gotta get it off, but I only get to use my new wrenches. I figure out what size these are. I should have left a bolt on. I don't care for the fact they do 9, 11, and 12, and I think these are 10s. Yeah, they're 10s. I'm gonna have to put a bolt back on.
These are the weird ones, I guess. You got 11 on one side and 9 on the other. Yeah, I don't like those. I've never been a fan.
Yeah, but it's nice having a set of these for brake lines.
I suppose. But...
And it was the cheapest way I could get everything. Everything up to 21.
Well, you are getting everything. I'll give you that. But it's one is an open end, and then one is a box end, and then sometimes you need open end and not a box.
These are both open.
Oh, they're both open.
These are
okay. Cool.
These are just for brake fittings. Well, any type of hard line hydraulic fitting.
I got you.
Which is we're at the point I've taken these on and off so many times, I don't think I could have done it with an open end wrench much more without rounding them off.
So this is the point in the video that I say something dumb?
No, it's this point in the video you put the camera away.
Okay. If you're playing that drinking game, you may die. I'm just saying.
Camera in the way or something down?
Yes. Take a shot every time Lou says something dumb or Lou puts the camera in his way. Let me know if your liver survives, because you'd have to take 2 at that moment. And I've only been here 5 seconds.
You're in rare form today.
Oh yeah.
These fittings have only been off 1,000 times.
I'm surprised they ain't rounded off yet.
Take that nut off again.
Mm-hmm.
And pull this out of the way. And then I'll see if I can't figure out a way to do something with that sensor.
Alrighty, go.
Go from there. I'm still working on the kid just spit at me and I can't figure out from where.
Well, maybe don't insult it. Take a drink.
Spit on this. I knew I was going to have to put a spacer in there. Yep, I'm going to have to put a spacer in there. But other than having to put a spacer in there, I think I'll put this bracket behind it, sit in front of it. I blew the seal off that I was using.
Uh-oh.
It has brake pressure.
That's good, I think.
Let's push it down a little bit. I wish I knew where that plug went. I'd like to put it back in. I had this all nicely. There's creative brake bleeding in there.
Hmm. At least you know it works.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike metal, this thing doesn't even make a tink-tink when it hits the ground.
Okay, so I ended up putting the bracket behind the master cylinder with the washers, the old lock washers that were on it, to give the little bit of spacing I needed to make up the difference. And I'm going to see if that works. If not, then I'll rearrange it again. But I'm just going to see if there's any play in the brake pedal. And no, there's no play in the brake pedal.
Up.
So it's hitting exactly right, so it's perfect.
You blew something off.
The paper towel I was using as a plug, which tells you this master cylinder actually has pressure, which is the first.
So this is going to be interesting. You actually got a master cylinder with pressure now.
Yeah, I'll actually have brakes. It's going to be interesting. Now, if I can get these lines to fit, because the other master cylinder was this way just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've got to finagle these lines and hope the threading is right. Trying not to break the lines, and
Or of course you could always hammer them in and crank down on them. Take a shot. I'm going to have somebody drunk by the end of this video.
oh yeah.
Take another shot.
Remember, be safe.
Yes.
You can switch to water.
And all kidding aside, drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Switch to water. If you got to work tomorrow, don't drink. What I'm curious about is when we bleed the thing, if the original device that we got over here on this wheel here will hold up, since it's been sitting out here this time, or if it's going to...
Are we cross-threaded? We're cross-threading.
Yeah. Anywho, we'll come back when this is attached.
This master cylinder uses all the threads.
Every single
There's
thread.
like
It's
three
got.
threads left, and it's tight. That's good grief. So this is a slow process.
Well, at least you know it's in there.
Uh-huh. keep going and going.
Like I said, hammer it in
going.
and wrench it down. Take a drink.
Okay, now camera guy gets to watch me spray fluid everywhere when I push the brakes.
The moment of truth. Will we see water, or liquid, or leaking? I'm not seeing anything on camera from back here yet.
Good. I don't want to pump it too much. I don't want to mess it up. It may be seeping a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Can't tell. As long as we're covered in.
Wipe them down and then try it, and then maybe try it again. I don't know.
It's not dripping.
Yeah, you're good.
Alrighty.
I'm like digging for stuff, and I'm
I
trying.
don't know if the brakes are working, but
Yeah.
at
Well.
least it's not leaking.
Yeah. We're about to find out if the brakes are working. So then, what's up next is what? Sensor?
No, it's going to be to start it and see if I have any brakes.
Okay. No radio. I think you've already got a lid on that brake master cylinder there, guy.
Yeah, I'm getting the air out of the line because you're actually using brake fluid for the pressure. So I don't really want any more air in it added to it than I need to. So, and it's got a one-way valve. So once I get it up there, I can do that, shuck it, and then it's got pressure going to the line.
Where'd you get this thing from?
Amazon.
The hobo freight of the internet.
Yep. Up. I was worried this didn't click all the way. So, release the pressure and fight with the cap.
Yep. So, if you're wondering, pressure goes in here, pressure builds, and then we could just go around to the 4 calipers and bleed as needed without introducing new air into the system.
Without pumping the master and causing the seals to fail.
Blowing it out.
Potentially.
Yes.
Problem is this is supposed to be the right one, but I can't get it to seal down properly.
Yeah, they get a bunch of different lids in there. So once we find the right lid, we'll get it.
Well, this is the only one that fits it, so this is supposed to be the right lid, but for some reason I can't get it to catch. It's not catching all the way.
All right, well, we'll come back to you when we got this going on. Okay, so we got it back on.
Yeah, I got it on. Finally got it to click. You're just fighting with it to get it to snap on. Had to fiddle with the gasket a little bit. And now I'm working on building pressure up. Get it up around 10 or 20. And then start bleeding.
And then once we get it to 10 or 20, we'll go around bleeding unless something funny happens, and then I'll show it probably after the fact, but I'll show it.
Okay, I've got it pressurized. I got it up over, let's see where am I at? I'm at about 15 psi. It's holding pressure, it's not leaking anywhere there. I did a little tappy, tried to loosen up any bubbles that might still be sitting on the top.
Tap.
Now I get to go around and bleed off all the lines, which we've shown this a dozen times on this vehicle, so batteries are all dying, so we're not going to get that on this one.
Not unless something funny happens, I'll record that.
Oh yeah. Alright, I think I've got it all bled. I've used an entire bottle of brake fluid, so it better be well bled. Everything was bleeding clean. I was just doing extra bleed. Finally got where this was pretty well out of juice. So now I release the pressure.
That's a handy dandy little device. I could see how you could bleed anti-lock brakes with that as well.
Yeah, that's kind of the point. There's some vehicles that actually require you to bleed it this way, which apparently this Kia is actually one of those vehicles you're supposed to bleed it this way. BMW is pretty common. I see that a lot, and there's several other vehicles I can't think off the top of my head that are ones that are supposed to be bled this way.
Yeah.
So it makes a big difference. It keeps you from damaging anything in the mechanism, and it makes it easier to bleed by yourself because you put pressure on it and then you just go around to the wheels.
We'll put the link in the description or something. We'll show you where, what the price is and how to get it.
Yes, the brake fluid reservoir is overfilled.
Just a hair.
I'll take care of it later if I have brakes. If I have brakes.
Yes.
If I don't have brakes, I'm running out of ideas.
Sell it. We're at that point. As much as we would enjoy running new brake lines, we don't really have the time or the ability in our shop, tiny shop.
Well, it's not even the brake lines. It's got to be the whole kit and caboodle, so I have to replace the booster and everything. Maybe. And I've already ordered the only booster I could find, and it was broken.
Yep. So, in other words, if you've been following along with my impromptu drinking game, take a shot.
It's about to the point where its brake system may require putting a whole new brake system in.
Yep. So, yeah, up next is we're finding out if this thing stops.
Let's see if I have any pressure without it running. Oh, and painted cardboard does a better job of keeping water out than unpainted cardboard. It still gets you wet, but it's not as bad.
That's from the painted rims video, if y'all remember that, which there's
And
still
hubcaps.
Yeah, and the
back side
hubcaps.
of that was on the hubcaps, and the front was the wheels and rims.
Yeah, and the rims, the wheels actually.
I feel brakes. I feel brakes. It's pumping up. I'm hopeful. Now I got to find a battery because I donated the battery to the Ford, the Tortoise, the other Tortoise.
Yes.
So now I think I've got a battery. I've got a battery, new battery for the Yaris I can put in here if worse comes to worse, but I'm keeping it because I think the battery in the Yaris is going to need replaced for winter. I don't know. It's been, first time it frosted, it was a little weak starting, and then ever since it's been happy, but we haven't been really cold, so I don't know yet.
Yeah. You could always try the battery in the Buick behind you.
Side post.
Okay, never mind.
I've got a bunch of batteries, just finding one that will fit and work, maybe.
Yep.
They're all only mostly dead. There's only 2 that are completely dead.
So that's what's coming next, apparently.
Yeah.
Finding a battery.
Finding a battery.
The quest for a battery now.
He's already missed the comedy gold.
Battery's got juice.
A little tingly. And this is the wrong size for everything. I don't know what size this is. 13 millimeters standard? It's probably a standard. It is just slightly bigger than 12. Good enough. Let's see.
If only you had a roll of wrenches right there next to you.
Yep, it's 1/2 inch. And now let's see if she starts.
Yeah.
I guess I should check to any oil first.
You might want to do that.
Yep, it's got oil.
You're not going to lick it and taste it and see what it tastes like?
No, I'm sure it's oil.
Okay.
See? It's oil. See, it's still mostly clear even. Now I had keys. There they are.
Not that I don't trust you, but I'm stepping out of the way. a Hyundai brake fluid reservoir.
And the brake's still going straight to the floor.
Still straight to the floor?
Yeah. But it has resistance going to the floor.
Okay.
Maybe we have brakes.
Maybe.
Let's see. At the very least, this thing's getting moved over into the trees out of the way because I need this path.
All right.
So, gonna run for a little bit, move stuff out of the way, and
Yeah. Well, as soon as we get this cleared, we'll see if he's got brakes. So I just put it in gear and it stayed put. There we go. Now it's stopping. Well, the brown bomber felt very safe on that. Grandpa felt safe.
I may need to adjust it back a little bit, even though that's probably going to make it too much, but I may need to take that bracket and put it back in front.
Mm-hmm.
I hope not, because if I do that, I have to take those lines off again.
Let's pretend you don't have to do that.
But, yeah, it's getting more I'm using it, the brakes are getting better, and that's what I did last time. I think the booster is over boosting, and that's part of the problem. But I can't seem to find a new booster that's not worse than the existing booster, so.
That doesn't literally come with holes and dents in it?
Mm-hmm.
That last booster you got looked like somebody played soccer with the dang thing.
And there's a vacuum complaint.
I didn't do it.
It just told me that there was a vacuum issue. That was vacuum. Although, of all funny things, there's no check engine light for the first time in a long while.
So it might have a vacuum leak. Maybe that's the reason why it's over boosting. It's got a vacuum leak.
Well, I think the booster itself is leaking.
Ah.
So, but I said it's still going to the floor, but I do have brakes, and they're building. So.
Okay.
It may go under in the hill itself. It may go under. I need to adjust it and have it so it's already impressed a little bit. Maybe the throw is not throwing.
Yeah.
But we tested that last time and it broke sandstone, so I don't think that's the case.
No, I don't think that's the case either. I think one of the soft lines, not in the brakes, but somewhere in the vacuum system.
Somewhere in the vacuum, it's not happy because it keeps finding a vacuum leak, and it revs up, and it gets back good, and then it idles good for a little while, and then I think it's losing vacuum, and it's not going to say it. Funny thing is, it's not giving me any brake warnings, and all the brake plugs are off.
You notice that too.
So.
Well, if only somebody had purchased a smoke machine so you could check your vacuum. Oh wait.
Yeah, we need to do that. We've got a whole bunch of check vacuum leaks on.
Yep, we got this one and
we got this one.
Riata.
We've got the Riata. We've got the Sunfire. We've got my Regal. So
we're gonna go through here soonish, next.
Taurus.
Yeah, possible. See if we can identify vacuum leaks. All right, does that do this one, or are you gonna move it first?
I'm gonna move it, but I've got more brakes than I've had in a while, so it is usable again now. This thing's been doing this where when I first started out in the morning, even when the last master cylinder was working, when I first started out in the morning, the brakes were slow to respond, and it built pressure as I went along, which is why I'm pretty sure it's a booster failing. not functioning properly. Then the master cylinder failed, so now I've got a master cylinders working again, so I'm back to the weird booster power brake issues.
Yeah.
But I have brakes.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it has brakes again. So even though it's not correct, it's a success.
Another project finished. We'll count it. It counts.
Yes. So like, share, subscribe, and have a good one.
What's going on?
It had brakes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get something with this. Look back there, see what it's done? If you can look under there, it has blown out. The booster overpressed the brakes and blew out the rear seal. So it just blew out the master cylinder that was working.
So I think you needed a new booster, sir.
Yeah, because the booster is doing something. Although the car is very happy with all the brake sensors unplugged. I have no warnings whatsoever. So, but yeah, apparently the booster just kamikazed the master cylinder. So I'm back to brakes are a suggestion.
Yes, we had it solved for half a block. Yeah, booster's next, if we can find one that doesn't look like it was used as a soccer ball.
Which means I'm probably going to be replacing the whole kit and caboodle, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably get a different booster, different master cylinder altogether. I've got to find something that will match up bolts. I'm going to take this off, which means this is now parked in the weeds.
So, project completed, question mark?
Yeah. It was. I had brakes for about a block.
Please like, share, and subscribe.
Till next time, have a good one.
How are we feeling tonight under starlit sky?